A vehicle is identified by its mileage and fuel left in the vehicle. From the fuel left, 5 liters will always be considered as reserve fuel. At any point of time, the driver of the vehicle may want to know the maximum distance that can be covered without using the reserve fuel. How many kilometers he or she has already traveled based on the initial fuel and the vehicle had. Identify the class name and attributes so as to represent a vehicle from the information given above. Drag and drop the chosen class name, attributes and methods into the appropriate section of the box shown below. So this is it. Class name is vehicle and attribute, because they have clearly mentioned vehicle is identified by mileage and fuel left. And the methods, unit will always have unit method. Then identify distance traveled with the initial fuel as a parameter. Identify distance that can be traveled. These are the two methods we'll have. Look at this. We have taken mileage and fuel left as a public attribute parameters. Attribute where properties or a data members. Then we have two methods: identify distance traveled and identify distance that can be traveled. So to identify the distance traveled, we need to take the initial fuel and current fuel. So we assume that mileage per kilometer the vehicle gives as 10, then fuel left is 15, right? Be it any mile, how many kilometer it started, it is not a big deal. Let's assume that initial fuel is also 15. You can assume 20 also, not a problem. So initial fuel is 50. From this we check, identify distance traveled. So it goes up and checks. So we have initial fuel minus fuel left. Fuel left is currently 15. Initial fuel is also 15. So 15 minus 15 is 0. So the distance traveled should be 0. So it returns 0 as the value. It comes here. Now we check how many liters of fuel is left. If it is greater than 5, because first 5 kilometers we say out of the fuel availability we'll have to take 5 liters for reserve fuel. We should not consider them. So fuel left, if it is greater than 0, then we calculate this. Initial fuel minus 5. So initial fuel is 15. So minus 5 becomes 10. So initial fuel is 15 minus 5 is 10. So mileage is, we know, 10. So 10 into 10 becomes 100 minus distance traveled. Distance travel is a local variable which will have the value, returned value from the identified distance traveled function. So for this example, distance traveled is 0. So we say it's 100 kilometers vehicle can travel. So let us take another example. Initial fuel is 20 and fuel left is just 10. So let's see what happens. Goes up. Now we create a set. Mileage is equal to, it is a public data member, so we are not using any getter and setter. Fuel left is also set. So we assume that initial fuel is 20. Now we are trying to calculate the distance travel. So that now distance travel. So distance traveled is equal to initial fuel here we have given as a 20 and fuel left is 10. 20 minus 10 is 10 into mileage is 10. So totally distance traveled is 100. It says distance travel is 100. So this returns 100 as the value. Now we have distance traveled as 100. In this function also we have a variable local variable called distance travel 100. Now we check if the fuel left is greater than 5. Fuel left is 10. So which means yes, we can proceed. Now we are going to calculate initial fuel minus 5. Initial fuel is, in this example, initial fuel is 20 minus 5 liters meant for reserve. So 15 into mileage, it becomes 150. Then minus distance traveled is 100. So 150 minus 100 becomes 50. So that value is returned. I hope you are able to understand this. You can take a look at the code. So this passes all the test cases.